Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, guys. Celtic Warband here, and thanks for tuning in to the final set of battles in my Napoleon Total War tournament, and a huge thank you to everyone who has tuned into the tournament thus far and has supported the channel over the past 2 years. And we have two of the best players in the Napoleon tournament going head-to-head for the final. We have Mars God of War versus RAJI, so let's go ahead and take a look at their battles. Alright guys, welcome to the first battle between RAJI and Mars God of War, and for the final battle I've chosen the Spanish Lakeside. I think that it's a really diverse map, and it actually has 3 separate areas for almost 3 separate battles in one. On the very right hand side you can see that we have this massive mountaintop, and we've got the French and the Prussians both being very aggressive, trying to take as much of this area as possible. It's a good vantage point for later in the game. And we also have in the center this plain area where more traditional line battles can be fought. And then far to the left-hand side, we have this little forested pathway where units can actually flank all the way around and hit the unsuspecting enemy from behind. Now, Mars God of War has deployed on all 3 fronts, but RAJI has actually gone 100% into the hill. So it'll be interesting to see how this strategy pays off. Now, for Mars God of War, his disadvantage is that now his army is divided, and France can focus down the smaller Prussian hilltop defense with their overwhelming numbers, basically. But the disadvantage for RAJI is now he is exposed to flanking from the sides here. You can already see we've got some musketeers moving up here. He can also move up this way, and he can also flank all the way around and completely surround the French up on the hilltop. So we'll have to see which way this battle goes. But let's go ahead and take a look at Mars God of War's forces first. He's got his general staff and 2 units of lancers up here with a 6-pounder horse artillery. He also has 2 units of foot guards, which are very elite Prussian infantry. Down in the valley here, he's got, I think, 4 units of musketeers and 4 units of Prussian fusiliers. So that's most of his mainline infantry right there. And then all the way over here, he's got a unit of musketeers, and he does have a cannon and a unit of cavalry hidden in the trees. We'll take a look at them later on in the battle. Zipping up to the French over here, you can see that they've got the 7E Regiment Lancer Cavalry in the front lines. They've also got, I believe, 4 units of Voltigé, which are their light infantry. Then he's got 2 units of Swissfoot, 2 units of Fusiliers to the line, 2 units of Polish Legion. He also has 1 unit of foot guards, I believe, at the back here. Or, sorry, old guard. My apologies. And he's got a unit of guard seamen in reserve. And his artillery, the 6-inch howitzers, are bringing up the rear. Actually, he also has 2 units of chassé à cheval cavalry and his general's staff. So very, very elite French forces here, and it looks like RAJI has pretty much claimed most of the hilltop, I would say, because the Prussians are forced back to basically where they came up onto the hilltop. Then again, it's a good call for Mars God of War not to push the French position, because these foot guards are good, but they're not good enough to take on the might of the French army alone. And unfortunately here it looks like we do have in the trees some musketeers that got a little bit too close to the French lines and started to take some casualties. But once the Prussians are able to form up a really good battle line here, I think that they should do pretty well against the French. We've got the Old Guard and the Polish Legion moving down the slopes here, I guess, to defend the flank. We've also got the chassé à cheval over here as well. And is that the artillery we're seeing? No, just the musketeers. So it'd be interesting to see. I think the French are pretty well entrenched here, so I don't think they have much worry about moving forwards. You can see their Voltigés here are getting some good shots off on the Prussian Fusiliers. However, these light infantry should probably retreat. Yeah, so RAJI is doing just that. Trying to keep them out of range because the light infantry do have better range, so it's pretty unnecessary for them to take casualties to the Prussian Fusiliers like that. We've also got some musketeers here. I think that that's a... I don't really like this battle line, though. I think most of them should be facing the French. I know that he's wary of French cavalry hitting his flank, but he's going to need every man in reserve to break this French position on this hilltop. A little scrappy over here, though. I think this is too much infantry in these choke points. I think 2 is more than enough with maybe 1 unit of Voltige, and then have 3 over here of the light infantry with the rest of the heavy infantry, like the Swiss Foot and the Polish Legion. I think that, to be honest, you could actually put the Old Guard in this position, and that would more than suffice for holding that choke point. However, very interesting now that it looks like the French are actually pushing down into the valley, so forcing Mars, God of War's hand, to push all of his forces up into the hilltop, and now Raji is actually pushing down the slopes. The Guard Seamen are taking some shots, though, from the Prussian Fusiliers. We do have a unit of Chassé Cheval down here, too. I'm wondering if he's going to go for this Musketeer unit, which is not hidden, so I'm sure that Raji is able to see that. But where will the battle actually start? I think both players are waiting for the other player to make the first move. And has that got the 6-inch howitzers set up? It is. And, oh, actually, it looks like most of them are hitting the side of the mountain, though, and getting some friendly fire onto his own units, I'm assuming. Maybe not, but that's not a good position for his howitzers. So he's going to refocus his efforts down the slopes at these units. And yes, over here, I believe that we have the Chassé Cheval moving forwards, but there we go. You can see that we have the 6-pounder horse artillery that was hidden. It's going to try and set up on this slope, I'm assuming? Yeah, it looks like it is. So that actually could be a pretty good target, or a pretty good spot to target the French with. I'm sure that they will be able to bombard the hillside from this relatively safe position. And we do have a unit of Lancers and a unit of Musketeers that is defending it. And wow, the French not looking good here. The Voltige and the Fusiliers of the line looking pretty worse for wear. We do have a charge here from the Chassé Cheval, and I believe the Musketeers are not able to form square. Huge charge by the French cavalry into the Prussian lines. Not sure if the Prussians were really aware of this either. You can see we still have some units of Musketeers moving forwards. And just like that, the battle has begun. I think that maybe Mars God of War was trying to get this artillery set up and was not paying attention. But now we've got a ton of French units here actually moving in to flank the Prussians from behind. So this is pretty bad indeed. We've got a unit of Polish Legion and a unit of Swiss Foot that are holding the front. And we've got Old Guard, Fusiliers of the line, and some Voltiges that are flanking around. We also have the Chassé Cheval. Oh my goodness! The Chassé Cheval moving forwards here very slowly, but some huge hits from the Prussian artillery, killing quite a few men in that unit. 9 men falling to their deaths with that one volley. Not sure why the Chassé Cheval are just sitting here, too. I'm sure that they could be in range of the Musketeers. I could be wrong, though. Yeah, so they have routed. That's what I figured. Is anything happening in the center here, or is it just all quiet? It looks like it's pretty quiet, but well done to Raji. So he's done exactly what I said. He's got 1 unit of Polish Legion holding this flank, and the rest of his army is kind of moving over to fight the Prussians on the left flank. We've got some Musketeers that are starting to break, although we've got some of the Prussian Fusiliers in an excellent position firing down onto the Old Guard as they move around the flank. Such superior positioning for the Prussians, although their front line has actually just shattered against the Swiss Foot and the Polish Legion. We've got more Swiss Foot coming down off the slopes, and the Prussians are going to have to do something. Their cavalry is sitting here doing nothing. They need to get the Lancer cavalry over here, get some good hits onto the very overextended line infantry units here. And what do we got? We've got the Foot Guards moving forward, so they should be able to best the Polish Legion here. But, oh, this is utter disaster for Mars God of War here. All of his units in this forested area on the mountaintop are wavering or breaking. I think he is starting to withdraw a little bit. Here we go. Very nice job. We've got some Prussian Lancers that have charged the Chassé Cheval here. The Chassé Cheval quickly trying to pursue the Lancers to stop them from going after the Voltige. Oh, that's so frustrating for the Prussians. One of the Lancer units routed completely. This unit of Lancers still pursuing the Chassé Cheval, but they have broken as well. So both units of cavalry are gone. We also have this unit of Lancers, which was very well executed as far as timing goes. with the 2 coming from the one side and the 1 Lancer coming from the rear. But unfortunately, Raji was on top of it, putting his old guard into the square formation and making sure that the Lancers do not get that charge. However, the Prussian artillery is still firing down upon the French as they do move to surround the Prussians that remain on this hillside. Thankfully, a lot of the units did return. We've got some musketeers, some Prussian fusiliers here that their morale has steadied. And what do we got here is the old guard. They don't really have any good shots in here is the only problem. Like, I can't even see through the trees. Oh, maybe there. There you go. You can see the Polish Legion in the trees way over there. But I don't think that they're getting that many kills, to be honest. And they're just being shelled by the howitzers. You can see that the foot guard's down to 81. That is disgusting. And now this is pretty disastrous here. You can see that the French have surrounded the Prussians on the hilltop. So very bizarre. I thought for sure that because the French had moved all of their units onto the hilltop, that it was the Prussians that would be doing the flanking. But not so. It seems that the Prussians are the ones that actually are being encircled on the hill. We've also got, oh no, so Mars God of War doesn't notice this. He has a unit of Lancers here in diamond formation, I believe, but he did not notice them. And the Swiss foot were able to get some easy kills on that Lancer cavalry. That is unfortunate. We've also got the Chassé à Cheval moving in on this forested area. You can see Mars God of War quickly trying to save his artillery piece, but I think he's going to be a bit too slow with it. Yep, getting some shots off there. I'm sure that he is going to lose this. There's no way that they're going to be able to escape in time. The Prussians are the slowest mounters of their horses I've ever seen in my life. But there we go. Yep, they're going to die, unfortunately. And we do have the musketeers here, which we're quickly trying to save that artillery piece, but there's just no point to it at this time. Foot guards down to 69. I'm assuming the other one has routed. We've got some musketeers that have routed as well, and it is looking like bad news bears for Mars God of War. Raji doing quite excellent with his Fusiliers of the Line and his Swiss foot flanking around. You can see we do have one of the artillery pieces that was firing up and over, but the shots went quite wide. I'm not sure why he's not pursuing this, though. He could easily push up here and take out what's left of the Prussians. We've got 3 units of musketeers, 2 units of Prussian Fusiliers, or maybe 3. He's got basically 6 units of infantry left, but they're depleted. 1 artillery piece and no cavalry except for his general. And this Lancer unit, that is. Oh, and is he actually going to get a charge here? No, again, Raji just on top of his micro here. Good battlefield awareness, and the Lancers not getting a charge onto the Swiss foot, and surely they will break. I would be shocked if they didn't. Well, we do have the Chassé à Cheval coming down over here, and the musketeers are moving back to the other side. But we slowly got the French forming up. I assume they are going to assault this hillside very shortly. But the French have such a better position. We've got 67 foot guards in this unit, 46 in this one, so it looks like that other one may have been hidden. But I don't think they have even many kills to their name, to be honest. They're not really getting any good shots off. The Polish Legion only losing 6 men so far. And the musketeers are moving forwards to reinforce that position. The Prussian Fusiliers trying their hardest to hold back the French on this flank. The Voltigeurs are pulling back out of range, it looks like, but we've got a pretty much fresh unit of Fusiliers of the Line moving in. We've also got the Polish Legion, which is pretty healthy, moving in as well. And how are we looking over here? Chassé à Cheval. Yeah, they're making sure that those Lancers do not return from the battle. Or to the battle, and they do not. And look at this, immediately turns them around, so well done to Raji. He's all over the battlefield here with his micro. And it looks like we are moving the 6-inch howitzers into a better position, but I think that this battle is almost over. I would say that Raji has this. I don't know why the balance of power is so even, if I'm honest. Let's go ahead and zoom in here to the Polish Legion, firing into the ranks of the Prussian Fusiliers. The artillery firing overhead as well. And we've also got the unit of Fusiliers of the line flanking around the Prussian musketeers here on this hilltop. And I don't know what he's doing with this, though, to be honest. Like, I would have pushed up here. Like, so he's got his general staff, but that's the only cavalry he has. I'm not sure if he's worried that maybe there's some other cavalry that he doesn't know about. But I would have just moved in. But the Prussians seem to be holding for now. So, well done to them. Well, we've got some other cavalry over here. We've got the 70 Regiment Lancers. Let's see where they're going to be moving. I'm not sure if he's going to try and charge into the Prussian Fusiliers like this. We've also got the Chassé à Cheval, which is returning. He probably could have gone over here and broken this musketeer unit, but I guess it's so far out of the battle that I think he'd rather have his cavalry over in this area fighting for the hilltop. Prussians, again, moving into a better position. They constantly are on the retreat, trying to pull back to ensure that they do not get flanked. But again, as they continue to readjust their lines, they're just being shot on, or shot upon. And I'm watching this cavalry. I think the Lancer cavalry is going to be going in. I definitely want to see this charge here. Looks like the musketeers quickly moving into a position to fire down onto the cavalry should it move in. We've got the unit of foot guards here with 67 men remaining. They will be able to form square as well, so I wouldn't charge into them. I'd probably go more for this flank with the musketeers and fusiliers. Oh, and he is just retreating that unit, which is unfortunate. We do have the Chassé Cheval over here, though. But he's taking his time for I don't know what reason. Like, the general is open, the final unit of Prussian artillery is open. Like, let's just go for it. Maybe that's what the Chassé Cheval is doing. Oh, this guy's being dragged by his horse. How unfortunate is that? Oh, wow, and it's from a Prussian Lancer unit, so it's almost like it's returning, like in Return of the King. When Faramir was dragged back to the White City by his horse and kind of just like delivered the bad news that Osgiliath was definitely overrun and not going to be retaken. That's pretty cool. But yeah, there we go. Just being shelled without mercy. The Prussians just getting hammered by the French howitzers. Absolutely disgusting, and this flank is quickly falling. I think that it is time to push in the 7E Regiment Lancers. Time to push in the Chassé à Cheval. It's time to end this battle. The Prussians, the balance of power is so deceiving in Napoleon. There's no way that this balance of power is that even. The French just have way more men, and they have way better positioning. Here we go. Finally, the Lancer cavalry within range. It's just going to be shot on, though. It's got to charge in, or it's just going to be shot upon for no reason. Here we go. Here we go. Here we go. Where is it going to? It's going after the Prussian Fusiliers here, which are caught out of position. Nice charge by the French cavalry, ensuring that that unit will not return. We've also got the musketeers right behind here, though. The French cavalry needs to quickly charge those musketeers before they're fired upon in the flank. Ooh, that's exactly what I was worried about there. Come on, Lancers, you can do it. Also, just checking back here, make sure nothing else is going on back here. Doesn't look like it. Wow, and the Lancers actually breaking away from the Musketeers and charging into this unit of Musketeers, causing pandemonium behind the Prussian lines here. And you can see that Mars God of War is just sending his foot guards and Musketeers over to challenge the Polish Legion, which are still at 114 strong. Absolutely ridiculous. Really well done there by RAJI holding that flank. And here we go. Looks like the Lancers just running right through. Oh, we do have the canister shot being fired into the French cavalry there, but it looks like that's not going to sway them. They are going to get a charge into the artillery, and now the Prussian general is having to countercharge to save his artillery. I'm not sure if he's going to be able to, though. Yeah, and now the balance of power very heavily in favor of the French. Unfortunately, the French cavalry did break, which is great for Mars God of War, but I think still that he is just with his back against the wall, routing musketeers leaving the mountainside, and just none of these units are being used. I'm so confused why he didn't push those in earlier. He could have easily won the battle, you know, 5-6 minutes ago. But then again, I am no expert at Napoleon Total War, so I could be missing something. Maybe he's worried that there are units hidden in various parts of the battlefield, and when he does move up the slopes, he would be rear charged and lose all of his infantry. So, I mean, that could be a possibility. I mean, they could be hiding units over here, so that when he does move up the slope, they will be counter-charged. But this battle is over. We've got the horse artillery over here, which hung on, but they've got no more workable artillery. We've got the general and 1 unit of Prussian Fusiliers, and that's pretty much it. We've also got the Chassé à Cheval over here. I think they should just charge into the general. They'll probably be able to break him, because I think the Chassé à Cheval are proper melee cavalry, if I'm not mistaken. Could be wrong, though. Yeah, easily going to charge this artillery crew here. And then I think it's just down to the general. That's all that's left. And we have some more French units coming down off this flank. Oh, actually, there is the musketeer unit over here, but I'd be very surprised if it doesn't break. And we've got the general for Prussia charging back down the mountainside here. So the Prussians have been I wouldn't say unhorsed from the mountain. I think that's the wrong analogy, but they've been beaten down off the mountain. So the French, with that 100% commitment to the mountain, has finally paid off. And we do have the Chassé à Cheval running these Prussian Fusiliers down to ensure that they do not return. And it looks like the Prussian general going to try and escape by running through the lines of the French. But they have formed square here, the Swiss foot, and they're going to volley the general staff in the side. And the general staff has broken, and the musketeers have now broken as well. So a pretty prolonged land battle there, guys, and they actually deployed the exact same amount of troops, but you can tell by the losses that the French pulling out of that much better than the Prussians. If we take a look at the kills, 188 and 139 for the howitzers, that's pretty solid. And 210 by the Polish Legion. I think this was the one that was holding that one flank, so way better positioning than the Prussians had in that little forested choke point. So well done to RAJI. He is up 1, so if the naval battle is a win for RAJI, he will win this tournament. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take a look at that naval battle next. Alright guys, welcome to the naval battle between Mars God of War and RAJI. And we've got 2 of the best naval powers in today's battle. We've got the Great Spanish Armada commanded by RAJI. And then we have the fleet of Great Britain, Her Majesty's Navy, commanded by Mars God of War. Let's take a look at what he has brought to the battlefield first. You can see he's got his ships in a long line, ready to engage the Spanish. In the front, we have the Pandora and the Minerva, which are rocket ships. Then he's brought a couple of the 80-gun third rates, the Irresistible and the Epivier. He has a couple of 106-gun first rates, the Randolph, the Centurion, and the Frolic. And then he's brought 2 big ships to the battlefield. He's brought the St. Albans, which is a 122-gun heavy first rate, and his Admiral, the Surprise, which is a 122-gun heavy first rate as well. So he's got 2 of the heavy first rates. Let's run over and take a look at the Spanish, who I think is already in a superior position. You can see that he's got his ships ready to fire down onto the British ships as they move forwards, but the British ships are not in a position to fire just yet. And look at this, his rocket ship is already shattered from the battlefield. That is tough to see, and they had triple chevrons as well. So he's already lost 1 of his rocket ships. Let's take a look at what RAJI has brought to the battlefield. I think he has 3 of the 122-gun ships of the line. The Santa Clara, the Santissima Trinidad, which is his Admiral, and then he has the San Carlos over here. He has some smaller ships as well. He's got some 80-gun ships of the line, the Galicia, and the Santa Teresa, and the San Felipe, and then he has some 64-gun ships of the line, the San Daniel, the Ruby, And then he has his 2 bomb catches, the Salvador del Mundo and the Tridente. But now the British are finally getting their ships ready to fire into the Spanish ships as they move forward. So you can see that this would be a perfect shot. The Santa Teresa is not in a position to fire on the FPVA, and it's going to take some shots from the Randolph and then right after the FPVA, and actually thirdly the Centurion. So this ship is way out of position here. I'm surprised that it didn't start to waver with all of those volleys. That was pretty intense. Good positioning from Mars God of War and his ships. He's going to have to be careful, though, as he lines his ships up not to get them surrounded. You can see that we do have the San Daniel and the San Felipe on the flanks, and I think Mars God of War does realize that, and he's moving his ships forwards. Over here, we do have the Santa Teresa, which is shaken from all of those volleys, finally returning to the friendly lines of the Spanish. And we have the Santísima Trinidad over here moving in to challenge the Centurion, which is a 106-gun first rate. It looks like it is going to try and beat the might of the Santísima Trinidad and the Santa Clara, which are 122-gun ships of the line. But Mars God of War is going to have to be careful not to leave this ship all out and alone. You can see that it's pretty far away from any help from friendly vessels. And we could turn on the minimap so you guys can see what the positioning is here. Now, one thing that I don't like that Mars God of War has done right off the bat is he's left his admiral out of He's left his admiral. I said it again. I don't know why I want to say admirable. I'm sure his admiral is admirable. But regardless, he has left him completely out of the fight. Now, this is a 122-gun heavy first rate that is not in the battle against the Spanish. And the Santísima Trinidad, the admiral for the Spanish, is in the fight. So there's only the St. Alban for Her Majesty's Royal Navy here. The St. Albans is the only 122-gun heavy first rate that is fighting the Spanish. So he's severely crippled his navy or his naval power by keeping one of his largest ships out of the fight. I'm not exactly sure if that's a good idea. I understand that you want to keep your admiral alive as long as possible. However, I think that him being on such a powerful vessel, he would do much better fighting these smaller ships like the San Daniel and the San Felipe, which are now ganging up on the Irresistible, causing it to waver. You can see we already have the FPVA, which has surrendered. This one is about to surrender as well, and then that will leave only the Randolph on this flank all alone. So that's 3 ships that have already been lost, but if the Admiral was over there, that may have been a very different story. Now, in the center here, we've got the largest ships in the Great British Fleet here. We've got the Frolic, the St. Albans, and the Centurion. So Mars is trying to keep his largest ships together. And it is pushing the Santísima Trinidad away, which is good to see. But the Santa Clara is over here. We've also got the San Carlos here now. So it's basically 3 122-gun ships versus 2 106 guns and 122 guns. So he is losing this right flank pretty poorly, or pretty badly, and this left flank is still weaker than the Spanish, just due to the fact that he has kept one of his best ships out of the fight. And I really wish that he would move this forwards. It's not really over yet. If he could get it over here and break, these 3 ships, then that would force the San Carlos to come back to this side, and then maybe his 3 ships over on this side could double team the Santa Clara and the Santísima Trinidad. But at this point, it is not looking good for the British fleet, unfortunately. And now we've got some volleys here from the Santísima Trinidad. See, the Admiral for the Spanish is very much in this fight, and the Frolic is just getting shot after shot after shot into its broadside. It says it's concerned because of hull damage. No kidding. It's like it's being focused by 122 guns and it's firing back with 97. Here we go, though. The St. Albans is in a fight against the Santa Clara. Now, this is a very close fight. 114 versus 120. Got 328 crew members versus 338. So in this particular position, the St. Albans is looking better than the Santa Clara. The only problem is that now we have this ship here, the San Carlos, which is going to even the fight by volleying into the side of the St. Albans. And it's actually on fire due to this pesky bomb catch over here. So very well done trying to focus that down. How are we doing on this flank here? So the Irresistible has sunk beneath the waves, which is unfortunate. The FPVA has surrendered completely, and now it leaves the Randolph all alone, and it is pretty banged up. And over on this side, we do have one of the rocket ships, the Minerva, still left, so I mean, he could actually focus the Admiral here with the rocket ship if he so wanted to. The Frolic is pretty banged up, though, I must say. And again, see, so RAJI now still having the upper hand here, even though the St. Albans is probably one of the biggest ships that could be brought by Great Britain. He's got the Santa Clara here, the San Carlos, and now, because he has won this flank without too many casualties, he's also got the Santa Teresa and the Ruby over here. So it's like 4 versus 1. And this massive ship is just going to go down. It doesn't matter that it's one of the biggest ships in the Royal Navy. It's already shaken, it's on fire, it's taken a ton of damage, and it continues to be fired upon by more Spanish ships. It's actually wavering now, and that leaves this flank extremely weakened. We've got the Frolic here, which is barely alive, and we've got the Centurion, which is only 106 gun. The Santissima Trinidad alone could take these 2 ships on. So it's not looking good. And I really was hoping that Mars God of War could force a 3rd battle out of this so we could have 3 for the final battle, but unfortunately the British fleet has just cracked under the pressure of the Spanish Armada. And there we go, the St. Albans is routing now. And we do finally have the surprise moving in, but I'm sure he is very surprised to find that he doesn't have a fleet left to command. This Admiral is a little too late to the party. Just look at this ship here, sinking beneath the waves. I do have to say, it's so epic in Napoleon when ships begin to sink. Really nicely done. And the Randolph has surrendered right next to it. So we do have some repairing being done by the Spanish ships. And the St. Albans thankfully did come back, and it was getting a volley into the Ruby, which had been repairing. But now it has surrendered, unfortunately. That is too bad. And it is on fire as well. Is this one on fire? No. I do want to have one more explosion before this tournament ends. Ooh, this one is really on fire. And it's also surrendered as well, so we'll have to keep an eye on that. But the Frolic is just kind of sitting here. Oh, there we go. It is volleying into the side of the Santissima Trinidad, but some huge return volleys there. Frolic not looking too good. And we've got the Admiral moving away from this flank because he's terribly outnumbered. I'm not sure if he's going to try and move in to save the Frolic, but he's pretty much all on his own at this point. We can go ahead and just turn off the minimap because it's no longer necessary. 18 men left on this ship. Hopefully they'll all be able to get off this ship before it does explode. Come on, man, hurry up! Quick! There we go. Last guy. Come on! There we are. Okay, so it looks like they did all escape. Very, very good. The ship over here also surrendering. They're quickly trying to get... Oh, we just missed that explosion. Okay, I'm going to stay here because hopefully this one will explode very quickly. Got still 18 men left. Come on, boys. You need to get off this ship. You can see the Admiral for Great Britain just in the distance there, the surprise. Come on, guys. There's still 13 left. Jump, jump, jump. You'd rather drown than be exploded. I can almost guarantee it. Surely it's going to explode soon. That's a pretty big billow of smoke now. 7 men, 6 men. Oh, no. Some of them are not going to get off. 5! Cover your ears. Oh. Looks like 5 men did not get off that ship. Huge explosions there. And that is probably the last explosion of this tournament that we will hear. Oh, what? Oh, that bomb catch over there. The bomb catch actually killing the Admiral. That is unfortunate. So maybe he did know what he was doing by keeping his Admiral back. But I don't know. I still think I would have rather had it involved in the battle. And there we go. It's actually routing. So that does signal the end of the battle. And also the end of this tournament, guys. And there we go. Raji is our victor. So he has received a copy of Total War 3 Kingdoms already because we had long recorded, or we had long played this tournament before I was able to get all of the battles uploaded. So he got his 3 Kingdoms copy on release day. But well done, Raji. Congratulations on winning the tournament. 176 with the Tridente, which is his bomb catch. Very well done there. And Mars, so close. He played so well in previous battles, especially against the unorthodox Your Total War Master. But unfortunately, Raji just outplayed him that little bit. So thank you so much, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this tournament. And if you would like to see another tournament, it will be held after I hit 5K. 5K subscribers, that is. I always do a tournament for every milestone, basically, that I reach. So the next one is 5K, then 10K, then 25K, and so on and so forth. So if you would like to see me have another tournament, just make sure to subscribe. And also, it probably will not be another Napoleon tournament. I'll be covering a different Total War than I have in previous tournaments. But anyone is still welcome to join. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I really hope you enjoyed this series. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe if you'd like to see more content like this in the future. And as always, I will see you in the next one.